All right, London is Blue listeners, welcome back to the London is Blue podcast. Don't worry, I'm not hosting. The familiar dulcet tones of Nick Verlaney will be just around the corner, but I do have some big news. We're hiring for a new lead producer of the London is Blue podcast. Unfortunately, in my personal life, I've run out of time to work on the podcast myself, and so we're looking for someone to fill my shoes. If you are someone who has experience in video editing and audio editing, we are looking for you. There is a couple stipulations to this. We need somebody who can work Eastern Time US nights. So if you're in the UK, unfortunately, this role is not for you. But we are looking for US-based night owls who are maybe looking for a little extra work after your day job. If all that sounds great and you're listening to this saying, wow, I love the London is Blue podcast, and I'm a video editor, and I've edited audio before, and I love being up late at night, reach out. I will have my email at the top of the description, and you can email me right now. If you have a portfolio, share it. Tell me a little about yourself. We'd love to find a fan of the show who's ready to fill this role and is truly capable of doing this. I've done this for 7 years now, and it has led to my career in sports journalism, which I am incredibly grateful for. But it's time to pass the torch. Please do reach out. Again, my email is in the description of this episode. Find it there. Shoot me an email. Provide your work. Tell me about yourself, and we'll go from there. Thank you guys so much for everything.
All right, welcome back, Chelsea fans, to another episode of the London is Blue podcast. That's right, you are listening midweek to our Fulham review. We're back after Chelsea lose to our neighbors down the road in Fulham, 2-1 at Craven Cottage. Goals from Harry Wilson in the 81st minute and Raul Jimenez in the 55th minute. Liam Delap gets his first Premier League goal for Chelsea in the 72nd minute. And this means that Chelsea have one Premier League win in the last 9 games. Cool. Been a hell of a time for Chelsea Football Club. We obviously are just getting back into a more regular swing of things after being in London over the festive period. I am joined tonight by our good friends, Nath and known as Couch Critic, Dennis, who are going to join us. Dan, feeling a little under the weather, so we're going to take this one from him. He's probably breathing a sigh of relief that he doesn't have to talk about the shambolic nature of whatever this performance was, guys. But Nath, coming to you first, just your quick thoughts on what we witnessed today.
Yeah, I don't want to witness what we witnessed today again. Though it feels like we've been witnessing this for the past, months and weeks. So I just hope it changes because I can't take it anymore. It's just so bad overall. And yeah, my head still hurts from what I watched. And it's been a few hours now.
Dennis, anything curing your headache from this performance?
Oh, it was my wedding anniversary yesterday, so I was hungover quite well. But yeah, that was something to celebrate, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
I don't know. This just feels like deja vu, man. Like we've just been through this time and time again. Like I've been hearing chants that I haven't heard since like Rafa Benitez, man. Like what is going on? The terraces. Yeah, so not good. Just let's leave it there. It's not good. We need we definitely need a reset, and not just with the manager, but just throughout the entire structure of the club, it feels like. But here we are.
Yeah, we were talking about this on the show that last December and January felt like an eternity, and this one is really up in the ante for the patience of the Chelsea fans who thought that we were going to be in or amongst the title race for a bit, and then have witnessed the team fall off in pretty dramatic fashion. I mean, one Premier League win in 9. When you've played the likes of Leeds and Bournemouth twice, and it just doesn't, this isn't good enough. I'm a person, as arrogant as this sounds, we should never lose to Fulham. There should never be a loss to Fulham. And
so rare that we do.
But last couple of years, seeing it happen, it's not good enough. And obviously the club is now at a crucial kind of moment. They fired the previous manager, or they had a mutual parting of the ways, whatever the fuck you want to call it, doesn't matter. And they're bringing in a new manager, and we'll see if the new manager bounce exists. But before we get stuck in, of course, we have to do the 3-word match reviews, and have a couple here for your consideration before we dive into our own. Breaded Shrimp, my favorite username of all time, with Curb Your Enthusiasm. Okay, that was all right. Spanish Show with Red E for Rosenior. Red being spelled like the cards that we cannot stop getting. Matt Fitz with Ueckle Stinger incoming. That's right, baby. We're bringing it back for next year. Come on. And then Callan with Hear That, Bedad. And boy, were there some chants today. Bedad Igbali and co. I think when Stanley was with him in the stands next to Liam
Guess they
Rosenior.
all were.
Yeah, I think the whole structure was there. They definitely heard the chanting. I'll say it that way because it was very audible on TV. If it's audible on TV, there's not a chance that the standover wasn't hearing it in the same fashion. So, I think we all kind of know what those chants are at whatever point, but not a banner night for the Blueco crowd that was there to witness not only the game, but the fans beginning their own kind of mini revolt. So 3-word match reviews. I'm going to go to you, Dennis, first for your 3-word match review.
Where's the discipline? Where is the discipline? Okay. That's the first thing that came out. I had another thing lined up before, but I don't think it's appropriate right now. Family show, right? But where's the discipline for now? I'm just really disappointed that over the course of the season, we've picked up, 7 red cards already? And there's been no recourse for that. Like, I really think that that's an issue. Like, not to mention the fact that after the red card, we pick up 3 more yellows, like in succession right after for dissent. Not good. Not good.
Nath, dare I guess what yours is?
Not good, bro.
Yep.
Not good. Just, terrible, terrible, terrible. Not good at all. And as we were talking about right before we started recording, I truly hope this is rock bottom because I can't take it anymore. I just can't.
I'm going with Cole is frozen. We're not seeing the young man produce the sorts of performances that we have become accustomed to, and maybe a quick thaw would be in order for one Cole Palmer. But let's get into this one, guys, because the starting lineup, I think we expected a little bit of rotation just given the amount of football that's been played over the festive period. So Rob Sanchez does come back into Cole. I did witness a draw with Philip Jorgensen in person, so we made it. We're back up. Never thought I'd be so overjoyed to see Rob Sanchez on a team sheet again, but here we are. Malo Gusto, Trev Chalaba, Tosin Adarabioyo, and Mark Cucurella for 22 glorious minutes, starting at left back. Andre Santos, Moises Caicedo, and Enzo Fernandez started in midfield together. How about that? For 22 or 24 minutes, whenever it was. Cole Palmer, Pedro Neto, and Liam Delap started up front. Used subs of Jarrell Hatto, Reece James, Joao Pedro, and Josh Echempong. And, the 28th, 65th, 75th, and 76th minutes. Unused subs, Jorgensen Fofana, Big Steve, Jamie Gittins, and Garnacho. Stats. Oddly, Chelsea kind of come out looking a little bit better than you might expect, because I think of that 25-minute period in the second half where they really turned on the gas. Expected goals of 1.84. I think mostly these were the 2 chances from Liam Delap, one that he finished, one that he didn't. Big chances, 3 for Chelsea, 0 for Fulham. Total shots, 14 for Chelsea, 16 for Fulham. 3 saves for Big Bob. 11 corner kicks to Fulham's 2. Only 6 fouls to Fulham's 11, but we'll talk about the cards here in a second. And look, I mean, this is, where Chelsea are right now. It isn't very good. I mean, let's just talk about the discipline straight up, because it is the number one thing that impacts this game, right? Is Mark Cucurella not understanding game state as a experienced international player. It's an unforgivable foul. It's so stupid. And whoever is coaching these guys to make a red card challenge like this is the third one of these I think we've seen this year. It is so much better to give up the goal and keep 11 players than it is to give up the man and be down to 10 players for 79 minutes or whatever it is for the remainder of the game. It's remarkably stupid. And he is just coming back from a slight injury. I don't know what the fuck is going on, you guys. Like, I really don't. It is incredible to see. I mean, just to rattle off some stats for you. Simon Johnson of The Athletic, obviously, is following the unfair play table once again. Chelsea lead the Premier League, unsurprisingly, in cards across the league with 60. Or wait, sorry, we have 69 points against us in the unfair table. 46 yellow cards, one double yellow card resulting in a red card, 4 red cards. It's just ridiculous at this point. I mean, including the other competitions, not just the Premier League. Chelsea have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players on red cards this year. Robert Sanchez, obviously, for the silly, stupid one at United, which at least was
it's a football play, though.
Yeah,
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah,
was trying to make a play.
That one was yeah. It was understandable.
Malo Gusto got a red card. Trev Chalobah, very similar foul to the one that Mark Cucurella did today. Moises Caicedo, we know, recently got one of those. Joao Pedro in the Champions League in his 4-minute cameo that he had, which really pissed me off. And then Liam Delap for a very similar stupid one. It's bonkers. Enzo Maresca has obviously got a red card as well. He's no longer with us, but we are one center back, one midfielder, and a couple forwards away from having an entire 11 that have red cards. So
that's something to shoot for, man. Let's make it happen, man. I mean,
don't stop now.
I would love to be the team that had an entire 11 that has a red card attached to it. Like, it's getting silly. Let's just be real. I'm really at the point right now where I'm watching this team play. And you know that it had to have been drilled in before. Like, there's no way that after the Rob Sanchez red card and then the Chalobah red card that they haven't been talking about it as a group. And it still doesn't have any sort of way of resonating with these guys that this is not the time to make that sort of a challenge. You know, even when you look at, again, the game state is one thing, but the way we played after we went down to 10 men shows you, or before we went down to 10 men, shows you the type of game that we're preparing. And had we kept 11 men on the pitch, it's not even going to be close. They were not going to be close. And, you know, I really wish that the leadership of this team would do something about these red cards. I know it can't necessarily be put in contracts where, you know, players get disciplined or fined if they get a red card, a petulant red card and stuff like that. But it certainly can be instilled by the leadership group where they're like, okay, fine. If you pick up a red card and it costs us a match in a major way, or you're inhibiting your players' ability, your teammates' ability to play the style of game that we want to play, then you owe us something. You know, I don't know, about a TV dinner. I don't care what it is, but there has to be some sort of recourse and action that we all need to see, man. Or we don't necessarily need to see, but we need to see it happen.
CFC Central heard you loud and clear, Dennis, because he has put forward his own disciplinary plan just for consideration, because why the hell not? When we're in desperate times, they call for desperate measures. Yellow for talking back to the ref or any sort of dissent yellow, 2 weeks wages. Red in the first half. Well, he has to clarify because we've had so many different kinds of reds. A red in the first half, 3 weeks wages. A second red in one season, an entire month's wages. Let's go. Let's do this.
I'm with it.
Where do we sign up?
Yeah. How is this the Sam value plan that we get? Who gets this money? Is it put into a pool?
Just go to charity after the fact.
Yeah.
But here's the thing too. What I don't understand is how did Enzo Fernandez get a yellow card for dissent when he's the captain? Like, is he not supposed to be talking to the referee in that situation? Is he not supposed to be the person that can, be a little bit more,
vocal,
less judicial with his words in that situation?
I think so, and that was the one that kind of bothered me. I think the other two were completely valid. I think these referees are awfully soft, and the way that if you've ever watched like some of the Premier League highlights from back in the day, and the way that like a Roy Keane used to talk to a referee versus the way that these guys talk to referees now, it's like night and day. I think by and large, players today are much more polite than players used to be back in the hardcore Barclays days. But I think there is a limit sometimes to what the referees are willing to accept in terms of conversation, even from captains. It is kind of rare to see captain yellow carded for dissent, especially in a controversial moment like that.
Exactly.
I'm curious if maybe a magic word was said or something like that along the way, which is with Enzo Fernandez, anything is possible, as we all know. But I think that's, in talking to, Matt Law a couple weeks ago, it's one of the things that we've been really psyched about Reece James for this year is he's really taking control of the, hey, I'm going to deal with the referee. Get the hell away from this. Don't pile on the cards. We got 4 cards in 1 minute. Yeah. It is remarkable the lack of discipline in this team. And I don't know, Nat, I'm looking at this and I just, is Rosenior just going to have to come in and just lay the hammer down, do you think? I mean, what do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah, he's got to do it. And I feel like he's in a bit of a better position to deal with this squad just because of what he's been doing at Strasbourg. Not that the squads are the same, other than the age factor, and theirs is a little bit younger than ours at the moment. But I feel like he's got, the way of speaking to his players and, showing the way on how they should be behaving on the pitch. Because, he's been doing it for the past 18 months, and Strasbourg are pretty correcting. They seem pretty, obedient in this way. I guess Barco did get a red card a few games back, but, it's one in many. And we're seeing at Chelsea this happening regularly. So, yeah, I just feel like this is one of the first things he has to address because it's costing us. It's costing us a lot, not only points, but the way we just keep missing players, yellows after yellows and red cards. And who did we miss? It was Caicedo we missed for 3 games, wasn't it? So that takes a toll on us. And this has to be addressed. And age doesn't have and can't be an excuse anymore. This has to be addressed no matter what, no matter how young this squad is. They have leaders there as much as they are young, but they are not stupid, or they shouldn't be. So they have to deal with it. They have to take accountability for it. And if not, the players and the manager, but not only, I kind of phrased it wrong, but not only the players and the manager, but also the board of directors as well, because they are in a pretty comfortable position at the moment where everything happens on the pitch and it's never their fault. But there's stuff going on there. I feel like the lack of, leadership from them also has some effects on what we see on the pitch. So I feel like this is a task force for everyone involved, and it has to be a main priority because otherwise we're going to keep getting,
Can I come
like
off the back of that? Because I feel like there's something to be said about, the sporting directors and the board about, because I think the other thing that can be tied to the lack of discipline is just experience and leadership, right? And I feel like we don't have much of that in the squad right now. We don't have enough experience. And when I'm talking about experience, I'm not talking about guys that have played in the Premier League before and like, okay, well, I've played 100 games for Fulham or something like that. I'm talking about experience at the highest level. Like, have you been involved at the business end of the season? What were you like in those situations? Have you been involved in the semifinals of a Champions League? Were you one of the key cogs that helped your team deliver a win in that? That type of experience that could usher through these younger players and get them to a position where they feel like they have somebody next to them that has been through these wars before and knows how to get out of them. I don't think we have a lot of that. Yeah, you could look at the Reece James. Reece James is, even when he won the Champions League, he was a younger player, right? Like, he had players next to him that were just oodles of experience and had been in those situations before. And I think that he's learned from that, but I just don't think we have enough of that in the side. Like, we're coming from a team that used to have like 7 international captains at any one given time. And now we're looking around for where the leadership is and where the experience is.
Yeah, and we're long. I mean, that's never going to happen at Chelsea under Blue Coat, because that's not the model, right? So,
No.
I mean, I'll point to 3 experienced players though tonight, right? And I'll transition off the discipline and into the sort of moments that I think really matter. Marco Correa is one of our most experienced players, established international, best left back in the world conversation guy.
Mm-hmm.
He fucking knows better. He knows better, and it was a lazy challenge, and he got sent off, and it was very obvious. Trev Chalobah, guy I like a lot, loses his mark on the first goal. Bad defending. You can't let Jimenez get ahead of you for a header like that. It's ridiculous. It's poor. And Reece James is culpable for the second goal that they scored. It was a lazy clearance, and he wasn't able to get out, and it leads to an open shot. And look, it's a great finish to score the winner. There's no doubt. And Harry Wilson's on a heater right now. But it's not just that we're young, which we are. We're incredibly young. It's even when we do have some of our more experienced players, our quote unquote old heads, are 25, 26, 27, right? It's sometimes they're not the ones performing. I mean, Tosin was awful again tonight. He makes defending so hard for a guy who has experience at Fulham for many, many games, right? To call back to Dennis's quote from earlier, it doesn't work with him in this back line, playing the high line that we do, doing the man-to-man pressing that we do. It's so easy for a ball over the top to beat him and the rest of the defensive line. It happened 3 or 4 times tonight, and only one of them, we were really punished by. I don't. How does he keep getting games is a question that I don't understand, Nath. I mean, you're watching the same thing I am. Make sense of this if you can.
Yeah, and it could have been another mistake of his ending up on a goal if Harry Wilson's goal wasn't disallowed. The way he jumped to press
the first one,
Jimenez there, he jumped to press Jimenez there and just opened space in his back, and that's exactly where Wilson made the run to score and everything. Thank God there was VAR to save us there, because that could have easily been a 1-0, and the situation would be completely different, because we conceded at a shitty time with a big mistake. And the third goal as well, it was on him, kind
Exactly.
of trying to hold on the line and not have anyone, not in the coordination in the organization. And then he just, delayed his run for 1-2 seconds. And that's when Smith Rowe got the ball and shot. And then we obviously didn't deal with the rebound, because we've been sucking at dealing with second balls, and it fell to Wilson's feet and he shot. So yeah, just not good enough. And I feel like if we're gonna do this, as you said, he doesn't fit it. But technically they've been, training day after day, week after week, the whole week, the entire season, to make it work. And we see it failing game after game, and you just have to wonder, what's going on. Do they actually train this? Because, there are much more questions whenever a game finishes than answers, and that kind of worries me. So I feel like this reset with Rosenior coming in could be great, but still, it puts him in a hot seat that I wouldn't like to be in for sure.
Tell you what, I wouldn't want to be in it, man. You wouldn't be able to. You couldn't give me 6 years with what's at stake right now. I couldn't take it, man. I'd be like, no, thank you.
I'm taking that check in a heartbeat, and you're getting the payout. Come on.
All right, maybe.
Yeah, no, we're going on a full tour after that. We're ready to go. I mean, the two other guys that I think just had bad nights besides Tosin and the other names that I've already called out. Pedro Neto, I think it's time to have a conversation. A guy who at the start of the season starts on good form, has a great Club World Cup, ends last season playing better than he had at the start of the season, is healthy for over a year for the first time in maybe his entire Premier League career. I mean, this is a guy who's always had injuries at Wolves, who has stayed relatively healthy at Chelsea. Looks like he's out of gas, and more than that, is completely uninspired in the final third right now. I don't see how he keeps getting picked.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because it's clearly there. Everyone can see it. He's either tired or, I saw him. Yeah, at some point he was gonna take a corner, and I saw him kind of limping and holding his head. Maybe there's a problem there. I don't know, but the performances are not there. If he was fatigued, if he was tired, and if he felt pain, but he was still delivering, okay, I'd see it. I'd accept him getting starts after starts, getting 90s after 90s, because he's been playing the full games. But it's just not happening. So why insisting in this when you have like Steven there on the bench for you to use, or even Garnacho, who you spend like way more than you should have for him? So yeah, the things that we're seeing aren't adding up. So yeah, it's just.
I think, Dennis, the narrative is, and I do believe this narrative because, we've seen all of our wingers at various points this season. I think we all know their various strengths and weaknesses. Neto is the consistent one that here, what you're going to get out of him. Rain or shine, he's going to, be a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. He's going to track back. He's going to do some hard running. And you just hope that he can pull out a moment of magic, right? He did last year at the same ground when we desperately needed it. There was this moment where it was after he loses the ball and he does this patented shuffle from left to right, and he tries his turn, and the defenders have caught on to this now. They know exactly what he's going to try and do. He doesn't have a second or third move after that. It's beat him with pace or try and confuse them. That's it. And they showed Rosenior doing the same, mimicking the move in the stands next to Egbali. And he has to be looking at that going, we got to work on this. We got to have more than what we're showing here. Is it that he kind of has been found out now, or is it that he needs to adapt his game to try and be more interesting in terms of his variety of moves in the final third? Because I think he was 1 out of 12 crosses completed tonight too, which is just a brutal number for as much as he was kind of in space, surprisingly. But even with 10 men, he was in space quite a bit. He had that random ass shot from outside the box that goes into Rosed. I think hit my boy Tommy, who was there in the stands tonight. It's a bad performance, flat out. Yeah. He was bad against City too.
Yeah, it's I think that Neto's had a decent season for us overall. When you examine game 1 to game 19 and you analyze that, you can say that he's had a decent season. We're talking about 6 goals, 3 assists. We're talking about a guy that tirelessly works at both ends, a guy that certainly is relied upon to track back and defend the back post if that need be the case. So he's reliable in that regard. But I think what I'm seeing right now is just a tired, jaded winger who is being thrusted out there out of form because the manager just does not trust the alternative, right? I for one think that Estevao should be getting a lot more minutes than he's getting right now. Just given form that we've seen right now, I think he should be getting more. The left side, he did play off the left today, and it's clear we don't trust Gittins and we don't trust Garnacho to give us the minutes you know, offensively, defensively in transition that we need, that we require. So Neto has been the evergreen in the side because he's been the most dependable to deliver in that role, right? Like, I don't know, like this just goes back again to recruitment. I don't want to get into the sporting directors yet, but like it just seems like we've missed the ball on so many occasions the last couple windows where, when you think Chelsea have gotten to the point where, we've reached the baseline. We're about to contend. We got a squad together that has a semblance of 8 or 9 players that are relied upon, depended on. And all we need is like 2 or 3 pieces to come in to just push it over the top. And every time we get to that position, it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back, or we make a sideways move or it's a backwards move. And in this case, I feel like that's what happened this summer. I feel like Neto needed to be challenged, like really, because steel's what sharpens steel. Let's be real here. If you're evergreen in the side and you don't feel like you're going to be rivaled, your level's going to fall. Your level is going to drop. And I think that that's part of what we're seeing right now from him. I just wish that we would have like reinforced in a way that challenged him to be more ready and more switched on in games. It's just not happened.
And I could understand. I mean, he's played a lot of football, and I think he has been relied upon. Your points about the positives that he's put in this season, fair play. There's been more right with his performances than wrong. I think the last couple weeks you could go, he's probably fading a little bit. He does look tired. He does look gassed. I don't know if I would say jaded necessarily, but I could understand being frustrated. If you look at the money spent on our winger core, right? Pedro Neto, Big Steve, Alejandro Garnacho, and Jamie Gittins, it's what, 60? We paid 60 something for Neto. I don't know the right number for Stevo. I've heard 50 plus. Let's just call it 50 plus for whatever reason. It was 60 something for Gittins and 40 something for Garnacho. I mean, this is a shit ton of money. It's over 200 million pounds of wingers, and the best winger that you have on pure ability is the 18-year-old who can't get any games. It is it's really remarkable to say that. It's because they are spending the money. You question how they're spending the money. It's not as if the funds haven't been distributed. Those clubs got paid for the players. It's
Did they ever?
You're not getting 200 million worth of performances out of that group at any point. So it is really frustrating. I think the last one I want to talk about now, and I'll just let you kind of go on the Joao Pedro of it all. Boy,
not good enough again.
Boy, yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it's very interesting, right? Because he starts off hair on fire, couldn't stop scoring, couldn't help but look good assisting, playing the number 10, playing free. Liam Delap has looked like much more of a viable center forward option in the last couple of weeks. Has to be worrying. Joao Pedro comes on today, has a stinker. This is like the 5th one in a row. What do you make of his performances at this point? And like, where does it go from here? Is he now in the fresh start category with Rosenior, where we're just going to like reset everybody and go from there, or is he going to have to make up some ground?
Yeah, I hope the reset resets everybody, especially the players, because I feel like with Joao Pedro, I can feel like there's a little bit of frustration that he lets out very easily. And that kind of takes a lot of influence in how he behaves and how he plays. Because when he's confident, we know what he can do. We've seen it in the Club World Cup and after that, but we've also seen what he can do when he gets frustrated, and that can lead to a red card, as we saw in the Champions League. So it's about him finding his form and accepting that he won't score every game, but he has to be ready to, help in other ways. I felt like Delap worked very well today, holding on to the ball from deeper positions and distributing to the wingers and everything. And Joao Pedro can do that I'd say Delap does it better because he's more physical. He knows how to use his body better. He does the pivot, as we call it here, better. But João Pedro can also do that. And João Pedro, to me, is a little more mobile, so he can also turn and run and attack space. And that's part of the game too. It's not only about, goals and assists. And he has to understand that because he can play a big part on this team. He has to be playing a big part because he wasn't cheap either. I know this is unfair to say, but we expect players to deliver because of how much money was spent over them. Again, it's unfair to say and it's unfair
60
to
plus
ask.
million. Yeah.
It's not their fault mostly, but there are some things that are his fault and the attitude problem is, and he can address that. The effort the club made to bring him in, the way he started, the way the fans embraced him and celebrate him. So he has to use this to his advantage because he's a great player and he can prove everybody wrong because most people doubt him now from the way I see it. And there's also a World Cup happening in like 6 months and he's in a great position to be in the squad, but he has to prove himself more and more so that he, has the stamp in his passport to go to the United States. Otherwise, he could be missing out, and that would be frustrating for sure.
I guess, Dennis, I would then, I mentioned this in my 3-word match review. Cole is a fascinating thing to think about right now. I think we're all very excited when he came back from injury finally. It has not looked remotely close to what we're used to. He looks frustrated as well. I think some of the body language, similar to what Nat just mentioned with Joao Pedro, is starting to show up. I don't feel necessarily like he's getting the protection from the referees that a player of his caliber should get. But again, I think the referees are so fucking bad. It's impossible to really expect anything from them these days. So I think if you're a player of his caliber, you kind of just have to accept getting kicked and that'll just be the end of it. But the movement is worrying. We're not seeing him flow. We're not seeing him engage with other players in a really positive way. We're not seeing him create space for others like we have seen when other teams have to, focus on him as the sole kind of goal scorer. It's kind of no Cole, no party right now in terms of the offensive output. And I guess, are you worried or are you still hopeful that he is going to snap out of the funk? He's been back for like a little over a month now.
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, yeah, it's worrying. Just because he's the fulcrum of our attack. And like, I understand that he's been in and out of the lineup for, the better part of a year now. Like even the beginning of 2025, he was out of the lineup, then struggled to get back into form, struggling to form, then came back, struggled. But yeah, I think that ultimately what we're seeing right now, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm wondering if the things that we love about Cole Palmer in terms of his demeanor and his like just his temperament may be something that is hindering his performances right now, because he's got this like laissez-faire approach to playing the game, and it just allows the game to come to him. But I feel like that approach, when you're in the mire, just looks worse. Like the body language doesn't look good. And, it's one thing when you're scoring like, 4 goals against Manchester United and, you have that approach to the game. But when it looks like, you're not finding your passes, you can't really get into the half spaces and, get on the ball and dictate play, and you have that laissez-faire approach, I don't know if that's going to work. I think that he needs to work harder off the ball, on the ball. I think he needs to be quicker with his decision making. And I feel like the things that we're talking about his lack of play right now has to do with just his temperament. His temperament is not such that he's going to be like, oh yeah, let's get going. Like he doesn't have a fiery temperament. And sometimes games like the one today where he's getting kicked all over the place, you kind of need him to just show that intensity and fire, that fight. And it's just not been there for quite some time now. But I mean, the talent is there. I still think that in the second half, he picked up his game a bit. I thought that he had a couple.
Yeah, that's true.
Couple moves that, got us into the final third. He played in Delap, the lovely dummy for Delap. he crossed up Anthony, your guys there. What's his,
yeah.
They crossed him up there a couple times there, got in, just couldn't finish on his right. But yeah, overall, I just think that his intensity needs to be a little bit higher. And that might not be in his temperament, but we need to see something because the team is depending on him to be the fulcrum of our attack. And when he has that sort of like negative body language, it's harder to want to play to him, because like the game's not coming to him as freely as when it does when, everything's going well. When he has that Jogo Bonito, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
you didn't like that, eh? I thought I was trying to throw it at you, man. Like, no, you don't like Jogo Bonito? Did I say it wrong? No.
No. You said it right. No.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the thing is we're now seeing the ugliest game possible. It's jogo feio at the moment.
Oh,
so I'm still trying to digest what I saw. I was reading some comments while you were speaking as well, but yeah, I feel like if Cole has the ball and becomes one of the hearts under Rosenior, we're gonna, be in a better position because it's gonna bring him back up in confidence and everything. And I'm not so sure as if he's like 100% fit. He came back earlier, I think, than expected. So I think there's maybe that as well. But yeah, I want to see him play more, and I want to see Steven play more with him. Then it would be like top joga bonito for me.
There it is. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm of the opinion, I think, to transition over to Rosenior now, I'm of the position that I believe that Rosenior is going to be a good manager for Cole. I think he's going to promote some of the best qualities that maybe Poch got out of Cole when he first started. Cole also has to work on his game, though, because I think a couple of years ago he was an unknown quantity. Now people have a ton of game tape. People understand how much of a threat he can be when he's on his game, and they have responded in kind by boxing him in with 2 or 3 or 4 guys at times for huge chunks of a game. I mean, opposition managers are taking massive risks. Maybe not so much lately, but when he is on his form, they're going, this guy can kill us. We can't let this guy kill us. We have to, Pedro Neto scores a banger. We can live with it, but we can't let Cole Palmer dictate every part of the game. And my hope is that Rosenior gets him in a position where he's closer to goal and can start doing some of the things that we know he can do again. And, thinking of starting tomorrow, it's Liam Rosenior's time at Chelsea.
Yeah.
Delap does get his first Premier League goal for Chelsea's, and it's 2 performances in a row where I think you could say, hey, Liam Delap has looked the part as a center forward. I think today was an impressive one, especially because he started and started really well, played well when we didn't have the ball for a long period of time, was doing his best hold-up play. I think he'll continue to grow in that regard. He's certainly not the finished article by any means, but there was that great outlet pass out to Pedro Neto that sprung a break that we should have done a hell of a lot more with than we actually did. But overall, I thought it was a good day for Delap. He probably should have had a brace in this one. Really just would love to see him finish that first one low, hard to the corner. I think he's more than capable of that. So
just put your foot through it, man. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Just put your foot through it.
And we've seen him in training. That foot is a rocket when he wants it to be. I mean, whew. So that's a good thing. I think Rosenior will find some joy out of that. And certainly we need someone in that striker position to score some fucking goals this year. So let's hope. Reece James obviously being, the captain of this team and playing at an incredible level right now is not going to hurt things. And in fact, I would think Reece James in this particular moment of transition could not be a more important player for Chelsea right
facts.
now. I mean, he is our player of the season right now pretty conclusively. I don't think it's anyone else really within the realm. And he also has Rob Sanchez, who has been a more than reliable keeper this season to go for. And so if you could start to build, I know we say spine on a Chelsea podcast, and it gets you back to the days of Cech and Terry and Lampard and Drogba and the glory days. But if you could start to build a spine of leaders across the pitch. I think that's going to be a really interesting thing. When you look at, I'll give you both a chance to answer this question. When you look at Rosenior, I want two answers from you. Okay, what is he most excited about in working with this Chelsea squad? And then what is his biggest challenge in working with this Chelsea squad? So let's start with excited. Nat, what is he most excited about starting this job?
Yeah, probably the opportunity. It feels like he's psyched for the opportunity. He acknowledges that it's an opportunity that came early for him. For some reasons, mostly because he's in the group already. So he got that opportunity. Maybe if it wasn't going to be a name the board would consider, but the opportunity in itself is like the biggest thing for him to be psyched about. And he said he's psyched about it as well. So that's nice, actually, to have a manager that actually wants to be here and to have a manager that understands the culture of English football, because he was forged there as a player, somewhat as a person, as a coach as well. So yeah, that's the one thing that he's most excited about and that I am sort of excited about, because he's a young coach, yes, but he's a coach that understands English reality, English football reality as well. And I feel like we need that, because of the project we've been speaking about, talking about this, past 3 years, almost 4. But it feels like there's no direction, and maybe having someone that knows that reality helps put the project in place.
All right. Dennis, what is he most excited about?
Well, Nat stole my thunder. I would have said the opportunity as well. But on the back of that, I can also say just the caliber of players has kind of gone up, right? We can assume that working with the likes of Caicedo, working with the likes of Enzo Fernandez, although Barco does look good in the midfield. I was watching a few of their games. But, Cole Palmer, Reece James, Cucurella, all of these players have to be something that you're licking lips to work with, just because, he's been able to instill a style of play at Strasbourg with players who probably would make up our B team for the most part. And yeah, I'm sure that for him, he's looking at this as an opportunity to instill his philosophy on a playing staff that has, championship pedigree. Maybe not the right thing to say right now, 1-9, but like at least the potential for that. But I would say that I would just leave it there. I'm just going to say that he's going to want to have to work with players that have high quality and at least the tactical news to execute what it is that he wants to do on a day-to-day.
Okay. What is his biggest challenge, Nat? What's the one thing he's going to have to battle with to win either the fans over or win the team over?
I feel like, win the team, because I was going to say the biggest challenge that he's going to have now is discipline. As we were talking about earlier, he has to deal with it. He has to figure it out, a way to make players, don't not get stupid yellows and stupid reds in situations that are avoidable. Of course, that's going to happen once or twice, maybe, a tactical foul or whatever, but not every foul has to be tactical. So that's the first thing he has to address, because we have to build consistency, and having our best players on the pitch is part of that. And if our players keep getting sent off or keep getting yellow after yellow and get a suspension after 5 or whatever the amount of yellows is, we're not going to get there. So that's the main challenge for him at the moment. And I hope it's easier than it sounds by what we're seeing and how we're talking about it, because, it's the biggest challenge and it has to be addressed like this fast. So that's it for me.
Dennis?
I think he's going to have a real struggle trying to win over that dressing room. There's a lot of personalities in there that, let's be real. All due respect to Liam, I think there's a few players in that dressing room that have more football gravitas in terms of like their stature in the game than the manager that we've employed right now. As bad as that may sound, winning those types of personalities over with the lack of experience the lack of experience, having a jaded dressing room that I've seen 4 or 5 different managers with 4 or 5 different ways of playing is another challenge in and of itself. So I think that his biggest struggle, and then not to mention the fact that they're just basically throwing this guy to the wolves. Like no manager wants to come in mid-season and, instill their philosophy onto a side that is just coming off of, another manager, which is another way to play. Like you need preseason. You need to work your ideas correctly. We've seen it time and time again when managers come in mid-season. The biggest struggle is implementing their philosophy and their principles. So I'm hoping that he's a great communicator. I've heard good things, but I'm hoping that that's what it is, because he's really going to have to work on getting his message across in a very short amount of time. We're talking about a match every 3 days. Like, it's a very busy January, as we all know. And he's not going to have a lot of time on the training pitch to, basically drill in what it is that he wants to do. So he's going to need some of those personalities that I was talking about earlier to buy in quickly and for him to win them over as well. So not an easy task. I'm not going to lie. Very, very difficult.
I think I've seen enough about him as a communicator where I'm not as worried about that. I think he'll be okay. His status as a professional obviously wasn't the same as Reece James or Cole Palmer or whatever, but I think he understands it and can manage. I think the level leap is huge between Strasbourg and Chelsea. The level leap in the competition that he's going to face, the tactical plans that he's going to have to put together, that is a huge leap. And I think figuring out what his best 11 is going to be a really tough thing. As shitty as that sounds to say on a Chelsea podcast, I don't know what our best 11 is from day to day. And we do these every fucking game. We have a match review every game. I don't remember if Maresca had a perfect 11 in the last 6 months. I really don't. It really, what through injuries, suspensions, form, whatever. I think it's just been really, really hard to pick, who those guys are. I think you can make some assumptions as to who.
Yeah, and he certainly had staples. He certainly had staples in his side, but certainly not a full 11. And I think that has a lot to do with just like injuries and the lack of ability to rotate the squad correctly. But yeah, I agree. That's going to be a very, very tough lift. Even hearkening back to what I've seen at Strasbourg, the way he wants to play, I actually thought that today was his install because of how he started to press. Man press. Yeah. It was helter skelter to start the game. It felt like that, right?
It was
like
him.
It felt
right
like
there.
that. So I think that is going to be, because like again, when you press like that, it leaves all sorts of gaps, right? Let's be real. There was a warning shot. I think about the 3rd minute in when they went long to Harry Wilson, and Caicedo snuffed it out. The next warning shot obviously produced the red card. And then right after that, in the second half when Hato came on, another warning shot with that same ideology where we're just pressed up too high and he just runs in behind. And, who did it best? Obviously Hato. But yeah, like it was like carbon copy for me. And I think that he's going to have to really, rein it in a little bit more. We also seen things, obviously with the keeping situation, like Penders is great with his ball to feet. And I think he's real comfortable. I don't want to see him come outside that. I don't want to see Sanchez outside that 18-yard box. I just don't want to see it. I'm not comfortable enough. I think he's had a great season. I'm not comfortable enough to play that way in the Premier League. And I'm hoping that like there are some tactical adjustments that he makes, and he understands, that everything that he wants to do or is able to do at Strasbourg is not something that is translatable in the Premier League. One being, you have to look at your playing staff. Is your playing staff conducive to playing that style of football, first of all? Some might think yes, just because we have better players here. But to get people to just just deliver a dogged effort week after week after week when the types of players they are, it's a tall ask, man. You can't have people press high game after game after game, keep going. It's a lot to ask. So I'm hoping that he can just adjust his tactics slightly. to, just have a little bit more. I don't know if the respect's the right word for the Premier League, but I think you guys know where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one with him because obviously he's coming in at an interesting time of season. You would never hope for a mid-season manager transition ever. At Chelsea, we've seen all sorts of manager transitions at different points of every part of the season that you can imagine. Tuchel obviously came in at a very similar time and ended up having a ton of success. So, take it for what it is. Callie on Twitter did put out something that I thought was really interesting, though, saying 6.5-year deal for Rosenior is mental in their opinion. Since Blueco took over Chelsea, they've handed out 18.5 years worth of managerial contracts and have only been in charge of Chelsea for 3.5 years. In their estimation, circus continues. I mean, that is a remarkable number, and they're paying most of those contracts to former managers out. Obviously, Frank Lampard was kind of a temp in that first season, but wild stat to kind of go with. And we just wish Rosenior the best of luck. He's going to need it. It's a hell of a month. Lots of matches, lots of really difficult matches. The form guide is terrible. The players' performances have been all over the place, some good, some bad. He has more work than anyone to get this team performing. But you look at the table now, guys, and this is really where if it's
do we have to?
Yep, it makes for bad reading across the board because Arsenal, a commanding lead at the top on 48 points. City do not get a result in the midweek, which means they only gain a point on Arsenal and are now down in second on 43 points. Villa on 43 points with a worse goal diff than City, so they sit in third. Liverpool on 34 points with only a +4 goal diff. Brentford, just as everyone expected, losing their best manager, a couple of their best players in the offseason. They're in fifth place on 33 points and +7 goal diff for them too. No big deal. Newcastle have climbed all the way from the bottom up to sixth place on 32 points. Man United are ahead of Chelsea after firing their manager midweek as well. On 32 points, and Chelsea in eighth place, a familiar place for us over the last couple of seasons, on 31 points with a 10-goal diff. Fulham in ninth place, 31 points, no goal diff at all. Sunderland have slipped to 10th place, -1 goal diff. It then goes Brighton and Everton on 29 points, Palace on 28, Tottenham on 27, Bournemouth on 26th, Leeds on in 16th on 22, Forest in 17th on 21, West Ham, Burnley, Wolves, almost all certainly going to go down this season based on where they are right now.
Sounds great.
We're much closer to Forest than we are to Arsenal. We're in eighth, and the teams above us are performing better than we are. So thoughts and feelings, Nat?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken by my mathematics here, I feel like we're as far from Arsenal as we are from West Ham. But somehow we feel closer to West Ham than to Arsenal. And that's worrying. I feel like 17 points, isn't it?
It is 7. Yep,
yeah.
You nailed it. Yep, 17 points from either. We're 17 points behind Arsenal.
Yeah.
Remember when we played them on November 30th and we could have gone behind by only 3 points if we would have beat them? That
What's
seems
happened since?
Seems like 10 fucking years ago, you guys.
Yeah.
That's how long ago that seems. United, Newcastle, Brentford, all ahead of us in the race for top 5. Is a remarkable thing to say out loud because they all struggled at the start of the season really badly. And, our
struggles come in mid-season, you know, like
we give charity points to everybody. That's what we do.
Yeah.
I'm not really overly panicked about like the table yet, just because I know that week to week, that table is going to change again and again and again. We just got to find some form. Like we really just have to start finding some form. This is I would like to think that this is a part of the schedule where we should be able to pick up a few more points and, get on a little bit of a run. But again, with this new install with the manager and like him trying to figure things out, it could get tricky. It could get tricky real soon, right? So yeah, the table doesn't lie. I think that we are where we are because we haven't been playing a lot of good football. Like, I mean, consistently, when we looked at where we were at the beginning of the year to where we are now, I say that we are in and around, fifth, sixth, seventh, in and around there.
Yeah.
And until we can find a run of games where we can go on, like, again, this just speaks to experience again, because like it takes experience to learn how to win on the trot 4, 5, 6 games. The inconsistencies come down to youthful folly for me. So again, I don't want to keep hearkening back to these like sporting directors and this construction of the squad, but I just can't ignore it anymore. Like, this is a big issue for me. Like the squad construction, the lack of like experience, the lack of leadership. It just seems like somebody's science project that just went wrong.
There's enough results though over the last 3.5 years where this is just kind of where we are.
True.
Yeah.
We have been 8th more than we've been 4th.
True.
For whatever that means. And obviously for the rest of the month, there's a lot of cup games in here. So the next Premier League game that we play is not until the 17th. And that is Brentford at home. So you have a chance, if you win that game to possibly scrape it back a little bit. After that, you get Palace. After that, you get West Ham to close out January with all the cup games in there. Obviously away at Charlton this weekend. Arsenal at home midweek next week, Paphos midweek the following week, and just a fun trip to Antonio Conte's Napoli after that. It's going to be a weird ass month, I think. Yeah. I think this has the real possibility of getting very, 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 very weird very quickly. And so, yeah, I mean, honestly, like Rosenior taking over this weekend's match, probably the best timing, I guess, in terms of like install ahead of a cup match. But I assume there's going to be heavy rotation for that compared to when we play Arsenal. So, I'm not sure how much application we're going to see from maybe a quote unquote B side. But yeah. I do hope that he gets his ideas across quickly, because you get blown out by Arsenal in those, 3 matches coming up, including the league in March. It could get real ugly, real quick.
Yeah. I feel like it's still January. We're heading into February. There's still a lot of games, but this could be season defining in many ways. And it would suck to be this season defining at such a still early stage of the season, So there's all that as well. The pressure is insane.
Well, I did put this out, and I think I want to close here. If you look at what we did last season, right, in a season kind of full of ebbs and flows, started off okay. I think we had a pretty good start to last season. Went through the huge dip, which basically lasted from December to mid-February. It was a long dip. You remember those Brighton back-to-back games that we got? Whew, that was dark times. Dark times had by all. And then we had a huge lift at the end. So it's basically warm weather good, cold weather bad, warm weather good again. That's what it was. It kind of feels like that's where we are right now. We're going to repeat a very similar cycle, except with harder games in harder competitions. And I guess the question is, if we do pull out of the spin, is it going to be too late when we do? That's
really the problem. That's the problem. I hope not. I hope we can bounce back before like mid-February, which was what we did, especially because there's the World Cup factor as well. Most players are going to have their heads there. They're not going to care so much about what happens in the club, especially if most competitions, if our destiny is sealed in most competitions, So we just need to pick up the pace and go back to more, competitive performances and grabbing points and winning positions. so that we don't let it go to that path, because it would be bad for everyone.
It's a good shout. The idea that the World Cup coming into play, like if we're again just wallowing in the mire of like 6th, 7th, 8th, come March, end of March there, I can just see these players just thinking, okay, well, I got to just save myself for the World Cup, so like that's something to consider too. Like they got to pick up their play now, and not save it till, February, March, April, because it's not going to be much to play for then if we don't, start finding some level of form, just something.
Especially for coaches like Ancelotti and Tuchel and guys who are fucking like, they don't mess around. Like those are some of the better coaches in world football. They're not going to, just because you have a couple of good weeks at the end of the season doesn't mean anything to them. They want to see it consistently. So I would totally agree. I mean, look, one thing that would help is stop getting sent off and play a full game with 11 players. That would be a fun thing to do. So let's hope that they do it, you guys. This has been cathartic for me anyway, to have you both on the show. And hopefully the next time that we talk, that we gather, it's for something much more positive than what we just went through.
Please.
Get well soon, Dan, though, man. We need you, bro.
Yeah.
He's fine. He's got it was very cold in Manchester. And I think everyone in the UK is currently dealing with the cold or the flu or something like that. So I seem to have escaped relatively unscathed, which is, knock on wood, good. But look, let's end this one and get the hell out of here. We spent way more time on this than the team actually deserved today. But we have a lot more content coming up next week. We'll talk to Matt Law about all the craziness. Obviously, we have all the match reviews coming up and all sorts of good stuff. A couple of announcements coming soon as well. But that is going to do it for this one. Thank you, Nat. Thank you, Dennis, for joining. Follow them on Twitter. Give them some love and appreciation. And go to Dennis's YouTube channel as well, Couch Critic, and watch his reviews and everything too. Doing a great job. So think that'll do it with the parish announcements here at the end. Until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.